Welcome to a new week here on the Retirement Quick Tips podcast. I'm your host and guide, Ashley Micciche. I'm a financial advisor and the co-owner of True North Retirement Advisors, a fee-only fiduciary financial advisory practice managing over $425 million in assets. For 17 years, I've helped hundreds of people retire with confidence. And my goal on this podcast is to simplify the complexities of retirement planning so you can focus on what truly matters, enjoying your retirement years to the fullest. This week, we're exploring the topic longevity risk. Will your money last in retirement? Longevity risk is a pretty big risk in retirement. It's essentially the risk that you will outlive your savings because you lived too long. Now, there are lots of reasons why you might outlive your savings: higher spending, not saving enough for retirement and spending those assets down. Could be healthcare costs, could be long-term care expenses. But what we want to focus on this week is the fact that many people are living much longer than they anticipated or they planned for in retirement, and how you can minimize that risk. This reminds me of a story of a client I have. She's still a client, and many years ago, her husband was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. Most people who are diagnosed with Alzheimer's, I should look this up, but they don't live years and years and years. Sometimes they do, but he lived 8 years after his diagnosis. And for much of the early years, I would say maybe for the first 3 or 4 years, he was in their home and she was taking care of him. And as you can imagine, it was very, very stressful because she was no spring chicken herself. But it got to the point where it was too much. And so she transferred him to a memory care facility. And he lived like another 4 years after that. And if you've ever researched how much it costs to live in a memory care facility, it's insane. They were not wealthy. They didn't have a ton of assets. And what she ended up doing is draining their retirement savings. And thankfully, she didn't drain it down to nothing. She still had some left after he died, but she had to adjust her own spending and her own lifestyle dramatically versus what she was expecting to do, simply because he lived so much longer than what she had planned for, and he needed very expensive care in those last few years. So this week, I'll help you understand longevity risk, how to mitigate one of the biggest risks to your retirement through actionable and specific steps. Tomorrow, we're going to talk a little bit more about longevity risk and why it is such a threat to your retirement. My name is Ashley Micciche, and this is the Retirement Quick Tips podcast.